Namaste. The COVID pandemic and lockdowns for almost the entire year 2020 presented major constraints and challenges to the Gurudev Tagore Indian Cultural Center in Mexico City. Quite unprecedented and unimaginable for everybody. But I'm proud that GTICC rose to the challenge, it adapted, and it made sure that the show went on. Ultimately, we're actually awed at ourselves. Did we really do all this? Yes. The GTICC and the Embassy of India in Mexico has given a very good account of itself. This shows the creativity and resilience of the GTICC staff, led very ably by their workaholic director, Dr. Srimati Das.
Namaskar. Barrier Busters, Gurudev Tagore Indian Cultural Center, Mexico performs amidst COVID lockdown 2020. In a year like never before, 2020 comes to an end. 2020, Culture Reloaded, where we have broken all ceilings, transcended new technological barriers, harnessed the changed world order, adopted utterly new modes of transactions. Yet the show went on unhindered. We were tested to the limit by innumerable constraints unheard of. GTICC has documented 2020 initiatives in a video format, Barrier Busters, which is all telling in itself.
A total of 211 in-house flyers with creative suggestions by His Excellency Manpreet Bora, Ambassador of India to Mexico, Dr. Srimati Das, GTICC Director, GTICC staff, and even invited guests in Spanish and English for the benefit of Mexican, Belizean, and Indian viewers. The publicity of the flyers has reached not only the Indian diaspora and Mexican Indian lovers, but also educational and cultural institutes in Mexico City and other important states like Guanajuato, Oaxaca, Jalisco, and even neighboring countries like Belize, reaching approximately 15,000 followers in order to update GTICC events in a timely manner. The digital flyer creation and distribution has been involving the paper reduction, resulting in the minimization of GTICC overall carbon footprint. Due to the pandemic lockdowns, the audiences have been eagerly looking forward for interesting and innovative contents on internet. At the same time, the GTICC has been producing multi-theme content in different forms and platforms, resulting in the increasing number of contents as well as viewers. The Embassy of India in Mexico and the Gurudev Tagore Indian Cultural Center organized 31 cultural events in 2020. These events were grouped into four main celebrations: 70 years of India-Mexico diplomatic relations, International Yoga Day, 150th birth anniversary of Mahatma Gandhi, and International Ayurveda Day. These celebrations were held to share with the audience the connections and similarities between Mexico, India, and Belize in different aspects. The Indian Council for Cultural Relations, through the Gurudev Tagore Indian Cultural Center, Embassy of India in Mexico City, has thrived in adversity during the COVID-19 pandemic lockdown, accomplishing the objective of ICCR by fostering and strengthening cultural relations, exchanges, and mutual understanding between India, Mexico, and Belize.
Namaskar. When we speak about India, we get reminded of the vibrant and dynamic nation we represent in an equally vibrant country like Mexico. Continuing with the strides gained in 2020 under COVID restrictions, the Gurudev Tagore Indian Cultural Center has been on the forefront of establishing and flourishing cultural diplomacy of India in Mexico. The center forays ahead to contribute towards building this great cultural bridge between India and Mexico. Throughout the year 2021, GTICC has conducted 46 online and hybrid events, designed 135 posters in English and Spanish, imparted 4 master classes in Tabla and Kathak by masters from India, conducted 2 international workshops in Amete and Patchitra Katha paintings in collaboration with institutions like IIT Kharagpur, held 4 international contest competitions on paintings, essay writing for women and scholars from India, Mexico and Belize, and also scripted the prestigious cultural compendium on India-Mexico Cultural Connect, which was jointly published by Indian Council for Cultural Relations and the Embassy of India in Mexico. The Gurudev Tagore Indian Cultural Center has been the instrument of active public and cultural diplomacy of the Government of India in Mexico. I am proud to witness that the events and activities conducted by GTICC had got large audience and were resonated in the minds and thoughts of every Mexicans who attended them. Establishing useful linkages to leverage the power of soft power diplomacy and enhance our visibility has been the vision of GTICC, and it is so heartening to witness the successful implementation of this vision. Under the Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav celebrations this year, the Gurudev Tagore Indian Cultural Center has planned numerous activities keeping in mind the outreach and to engage numerous actors like think tanks, academicians, scholars, painters, dancers, musicians alike. I would like to mention here that we all are looking forward to the activities planned by GTICC in this year 2022 and 2023, especially under the rubric of AKAM celebrations. The spirit has been reinforced, the energy has doubled, and the partnership between India and Mexico will definitely flourish in the coming years, especially in the field of cultural linkages. I invite all of you to please come and attend the activities being performed by the Gurudev Tagore Indian Cultural Center virtually as well as physically. Please join us in celebrating India in Mexico. We are at your service. Enhorabuena, muchas gracias.
Namaskar. As the director of the Gurudev Tagore Indian Cultural Center, Embassy of India, Mexico, it gives me a great sense of accomplishment to lead the team and to put on record the voluminous work put in by my talented, hard-working, highly technically savvy team members, Mr. Ricardo Perez, Gabriela Mora, and Aaron Espinosa, in transacting the numerous initiatives for Mexico and Belize in 2021. We have endeavored to give you a glimpse of what we accomplished under pandemic situation in 2020 through this promo video, Barrier Busters. 2021, another year, much team effort, many milestones crossed. Nothing limits us in our conceptualization and realization. 3 events out of the 46 cultural events conducted since January 2021 till date, which stands out for us at GTICC. The first was an international painting competition for amateur women painters from India, Mexico, Belize in July 2021, and the theme was No Lockdown for Creativity. Their take on the pandemic. The response has been stupendous. The second, we are very proud of our initiative in celebrating October 2nd in a very unique manner this year in conducting the video blogging competition on Wallpaper Mexico with philosophies and thoughts of Mahatma Gandhi in collaboration with the prestigious Children Film Society of India, Ministry of Information and Broadcasting, Government of India. The third was Embassy of India Gurudev Tagore Indian Cultural Center was the guest of honor at the 7th Miradas Localis International Cinefest from October 13 to 17, 2021. The highlights at this Cinefest were 8 Indian films subtitled in Spanish and the grand cultural presentations by the ICCR scholars of this cultural center. We did woo the spectators. The year 2021 yet to conclude, and I'm sure these cultural forays will be taken to new heights with every dedication and devotion by GTICC towards enhancing the preferred partnership bond between India and Mexico through this soft power diplomatic initiation. We will strive to give our best and leave the rest. Start. Namaskar. Welcome, Mr. Kirti Kumar, our master class teacher for the day. Buenos dias, Mexico, Belize. Good evening, India. Welcome to you all at this master class series. I am Dr. Srimati Das, Director of Gurudev Tagore Indian Cultural Center, Embassy of India at Mexico. Today we have the maestro of Kathak, Kirti Kumar from Bangalore, India. Welcome, Kirti ji. A well-known exponent of Kathak, Kirti Kumar is residing at Bangalore, India, and we shall hear from him what about Kathak, because he is a maestro, and I have no business to talk here about Kathak. These master classes have been crafted for you at Mexico so that you can benefit out of this expertise of these masters who have been invited to address the Mexican teachers, students who are exponent of this great classical dance form from India. Kathak is one of the 8 classical dance forms from India and is called as the dance of love, grace, and poetry. It is a dance performed by both men and women. On behalf of the Embassy of India, Charge DFS, Ms. Juhi Rai, Gurudev Tagore Indian Cultural Center, Mexico City, I accord a warm welcome to our masterclass instructor of today, Shri Kirti Kumar. Let us all benefit from these classes. Before I hand over the floor to Mr. Kirti Kumar, Mexico should know their master class trainer. Kirti's linear grace and dynamic execution of movement marks him as a promising dancer on the Kathak horizon. Kirti Kumar has been mentored in Kathak by the internationally renowned guru Dr. Maya Rao and by the acclaimed dancers Madhu Nataraj, under whom he also trains in Indian contemporary dance. A Vidvat in Kathak, he has been learning Kathak at Natya Institute of Kathak and Choreography. He is the head of projects and a principal dancer of the internationally renowned Natya STEM dance company, NSDK. He tours extensively with the company and has performed across India in prestigious dance festivals like Khajuraho Mahotsav, which is a most look-forward festival in India, Kathak Mahotsav, Samakhala, Dhauli Kalinga Mahotsav, Delhi International Art Festival, Sangeet Natak Academy's Choreography Festival, many more, and District Dance Festival. He has toured more than 10 countries and also performed as part of ICCR's cultural delegation to South Korea, Russia, Turkmenistan, Kazakhstan. He has been interested in rhythm structure and also does padant for several Kathak dances. He co-founded Atmos, through which he creates the original choreographic work for educational institutions, and we are happy that Kirti Kumar has agreed to address the Mexican teachers and dancers of this Kathak stream. His workshops have been very much contemporary. He has founded the Indian Foundation for Arts, Nadarup, Pune, and National Center of Performing Arts, NCPA, and has been widely appreciated. He continues to help many performing artists in setting up his online classrooms and digital auditoria. He is also sought after lighting designer for dance and theater production. So, our masterclass trainer today is a multifaceted personality. Before Kathak entered his life, Kirti studied Bharatnatyam since the young age of 6 under Guru Nagabhushan and balances several interests as his penchant for Sanskrit and an avid multimedia designer. Could we have asked for a better masterclass trainer than Mr. Kirti Kumar? He is a part of the Kathak faculty at NIKC and also teaches lighting design, arts management, and rhythm structure to the students of the Institute diploma in choreography. This is just a brief introduction of our master trainer because he has an exhaustive biodata, which I would like to leave the floor to Mr. Kirti Kumar. I know Mexico is looking forward to this last of the series of our master classes. And with these few words, Mr. Kirti Kumar, an artist par excellence, the entire floor is yours, Mr. Kirti Kumar. Welcome to Mexico.
Namaste, namaste, Dr. Srimati Das ji, and all the lovely dancers and art enthusiasts of Mexico. My pranams to all of you, and thank you for this for your kind words introducing me to the lovely art fraternity in Mexico. I would like to begin my session today with a short performance. I'll be presenting a Vandana, an obeisance to the universal forces, Shiva and Shakti. These are the two forces that guide the universe, the feminine and the masculine, the yin and the yang. They're not, they can't exist without each other. So here I am presenting to you Ardhanarishwara Shloka. This is composed by Adi Shankaracharya and has been tuned by Sai Tejas Chandrasekhar and Dhirendra Das. This is followed by a short paran.
च जगाधरा नमः शिवाय च नमः शिवाय नमः शिवाय च नमः
Namaskar, everyone. This Vandana is also the first piece in the repertoire of Kathak. Dr. Das ji already mentioned that Kathak is one of the 8 classical forms of India. All the classical dance forms of India have their origins from the Natya Shastra, a book which is believed to have been written between the 2nd century BC and 2nd century AD. And Kathak is an art form that had its origins in the temples of North India. Kathak, the word Kathak itself means a storyteller. So these were people who'd go to the temples and they were reciting stories from the epics like Ramayana, Mahabharata, Bhagavata Purana, so on and so forth. And they would embellish their stories with little rhythmic sections. For example, let's say, as they're reciting, the Kathak was reciting. He wanted to depict the entry of Krishna. He would recite a small rhythmic, what we call as Tukda, something like tat tat thun thun digdha dig dig te. Tat tat thun thun digdha dig dig te. Tat tat thun thun digdha dig dig te. Digdha dig dig te, digdha dig dig te, digdha dig dig te. And here enters Krishna. So this is how the dance aspect was brought in the storytelling. Kathak developed and stories after stories were told, they were sang, they were danced, they were conveyed to the people. As this was happening, one must realize that the most important deity in Kathak has been Lord Krishna. Krishna has been the favorite. There are so many compositions. The undercurrent of the form has always been bhakti. We see many miniature paintings, many depictions in temples and in so many other places where we see Krishna dancing. And Kathak also has another name, and it's called Natvari Nritya, where Natvar is referred to dancing Krishna. Such has been the importance of the Bhakti tradition of Krishna's influence on Kathak. And we see these depictions even in paintings and performances of the Ras. We see that Krishna is dancing with the gopis in circles. So all of this has always had an influence. Dance has never been in isolation. There's always been cross influence between different genres, may it be music, sculptures, painting, so on and so forth. And around the 10th century, there were several invasions in India by iconoclast rulers, and during that time, the dancers, the Kathak dancers, went underground and their gungurus were silenced. They were not able to perform. They were not able to showcase their art form. Close to 2 centuries, there was nothing that happened in this art form. But later, Kathak re emerged in the courts of Rajasthan and in the Mughal courts. But this time, when Kathak re-emerged, it was more about the technical aspects of Kathak. The tatkar is nothing but the footwork. Tatkar, pirouettes, chakkars. Dancers wanted to show off their virtuoso aspects in their dancing. In Rajasthan, the patronage was given by the Rajput rulers, and in Delhi, the art form was patronized by tolerant Mughal rulers like Shah Jahan and Akbar. And uh, Kathak is the only Indian classical dance which has influences from both the Hindu as well as the Islamic thoughts. We see that the whirling dervishes, the chakkars, have been derived from the whirling dervishes of Konya. And similarly, there were other introductions as well. The tabla became an important aspect in Kathak. It is said that Amir Khusro, who was a great Sufi poet, contributed quite a lot of compositions to the Kathak repertoire, and also the tabla and the sitar is attributed to Amir Khusro. So from the usage of pakhavach, which was the main instrument, main rhythm instrument which was being used before, now Kathak dancers also started using tabla as their accompanying rhythm instrument. Today we cannot think of Kathak without tabla at all, isn't it? This happens, and along with that came sequences like ghazal, tarana, khayal, tumri. Before this, Kathak was predominantly, it was Bhakti Sangeet, there was Drupad, Bhajan, and now we have Ghazal, Tarana, Khayals, all of these also included in the Kathak repertoire. And as the form developed, the dancers also adapted themselves to please the Raja or the Nawab in the courts that they were performing in. It's a beautiful thing that has happened, especially with Kathak. What was earlier, before the dancers would perform their Pushpanjali, their obeisance to the stage as they entered, whereas in the courts of the Nawabs, they performed the Salami. So I would like to show a glimpse of both the Pushpanjali as well as the Salami. The bowls remain the same. Bowls here mean the rhythmic syllables. They remain the same. The structure is the same, but the presentation changes depending upon where this is being performed. So the Pushpanjali would look like this. Tat, tat, tik, dha, dig, dig, tik, dha, dig, dig, tat, tat, the, tat, tat, the, tat, tat, the. Whereas the salami in the court of the Nawab would look like this. Tat, tat, tik, dha, dig, dig, tik, dha, dig, dig, tat, tat, the, tat, tat, the, tat, tat, the. As you would have all observed, the bowls were the same, the structure has been the same, the concept has been the same. In the Pushpanjali, it is about paying obeisance to the stage, to Bhavani, the universal Shakti. On the other hand, in the Salami, it is paying respects to the Nawab, to the people present in the court. So that's how the dance form evolved, it adapted. Similarly, there are a few other aspects also. Like there's a certain aspect called the Gat in Kathak. Gat means stylized walk. And Gat is one of the ways that the student is taught to express a certain storyline. So we have various stages in the gat nikas, gat bhav, and then we move to arth bhav. So if the undercurrent has always been, like I told you, the bhakti. So initially, if the dancers were showing Krishna, the more mukut or the peacock feather that we generally see on Krishna, later this became Seedhe Hath Ki Gat in the courts of the Nawabs. So they just did this, and the other hand was here, and this became Seedhe Hath Ki Gat. But in the minds of the dancers, they were still thinking about Krishna's more mukut and his hand on his beloved Radha. And similarly, Murali, which is also the flute. So this is how we show the Murali Kigat, the stance of Krishna holding the flute. This became Begum ki muskurahat, or the smile of the Nawab's wife. So this way, several changes took place during the course of this time. And even the sequences that came about was just not about bhakti, but they were also speaking about what was happening around in the society. What were the feelings, the emotions that a common man observed or went through in day-to-day life? They were portrayed, in tumris and in khayals and in ghazals. The Sufi influence came into being. We had some Nawabs who contributed quite a bit, like Ibrahim Adil Shah II, the Nawab of Bijapur, who was so interested in the arts. He even created a city and named it Navraspur, named after the 9 emotions that we all show in dance and drama. And he also wrote a book called Kitab-i-Navras. And in that book, there are several compositions where he speaks not just about not just about the supreme being Allah, but he also speaks about several Hindu gods. There is a confluence of the Hindu thought as well as the Islamic thoughts. Similarly, we had in Lucknow Nawab Wajid Ali Shah, who's really attributed for getting back the expressive aspects in Kathak. Like I was mentioning some time back, when the dance form re-emerged in the courts, it was more about tatkar, chakkar. It was about the technique. Nawab Wajid Ali Shah asked, okay, all this is fine, but where is the essence of Kathak? Where is the bhav? Where is the storytelling aspect? He revived and revitalized the bhav, expressive aspects of Kathak. He also brought back several guts and wrote several books and compositions. He also wrote several ballets, dance drama productions, in which he would play the protagonist. He would play the role of Krishna, and he would call his other dancers paris or angels. So this was an important phase in the development of Kathak. It was in his court that the now famous Lucknow Gharana emerged. The Gharana is basically a style of Kathak, and Lucknow Gharana is named after the place where it emerged, which is Lucknow. In Kathak, we have 3 main Gharanas: the Lucknow Gharana, Jaipur Gharana, and the Banaras Gharana. So Lucknow Gharana was patronized by Nawab Wajid Ali Shah. Several stalwarts who came about in this Gharana have contributed quite a few sequences, trained several students, and Kathak flourished with the help of all of this development. We had people like Kalka and Bindadin Maharaj, who were in Wajid Ali Shah's court. In fact, it is said that Bindadin Maharaj wouldn't have a meal without writing a tumri or a couplet or a ghazal. And he was a great bhakta of Krishna, and he wrote several tumris, which has all become such a great treasure in the Kathak repertoire. And further in the lineage was Shambhu Maharajji, who was given the title Abhinay Chakravarti. And Shambhu Maharajji's first disciple was our Guru, Dr. Maya Rao. Maya Didi, as we call her fondly, was the person who brought Kathak to South India. She institutionalized Kathak. She set up the Natya Institute of Kathak and Choreography in New Delhi and then came back to Bangalore and set it up here. Thousands of students have been learning and the tradition has continued. And fortunately for all of us, Maya Didi also learned from Sundar Prasad ji of the Jaipur Gharana. So we've had the opportunity of learning aspects from the Lucknow as well as the Jaipur Gharana. So this is a gist of how Kathak developed from being a temple art form, then moving to the courts, and post-independence, how it has come to the proscenium stage. Not just that, it has also gone into the celluloid and now to the digital space. This itself shows how timeless the art form is. And one is I was speaking to you all about how Kathak has been inspired by several other cultures. Not just that, it has also inspired other cultures. It is said that traveling bards crossed northern and northwestern part of India into Afghanistan, Romania, and they reached Spain. And there's an art form that mirrors Kathak. Any guesses here? If you could anybody wants to take a guess which art form that is, you can type it in the chat section.
Okay, Kirti Kumar ji, I'll just interrupt you for a second. I think so I missed out telling the audience that this online email, you can share today's class. We'll share the class notes to you in Spanish. And such a wonderful description by Mr. Kirti Kumar. I'm really enjoying it. And after the class, we will share the translation in Spanish. And in the chat box, you can ask questions to the maestro. He will answer to you. And in between, he is asking you a question now, which is the influence of Kathak on the Spanish dance. I think so. I know the answer, but I won't tell because let the Mexicans answer this. And make best use of these master classes. We are awed by your expertise. Please. So, anybody knows what is the influence of Kathak on any Spanish dance form? I know the answer.
Absolutely. Yes. We have Carlos here who's responded saying it's flamenco. Yes. If you see, Kathak and flamenco mirror each other. Thank you so much for giving this answer out here. This, like I told you, has been the journey of Kathak, right from the temples to the courts, and now to the proscenium theatre, and much beyond. And one of the best aspects of Kathak has been how it is fluid and can be used in various formats. And coming back to, I would like to show you just another aspect here. I did mention that chakkars are an important part of Kathak. So I'd like to show you, demonstrate a small tukda. We call them tukdas because these are small rhythmic portions. And also another important aspect of Kathak is the recitation itself. We recite the bols before we dance, and this recitation happens on a melody which we call as Nagma or Lehra. This melody signifies the time cycle. So the little tukra that I'll be demonstrating now is set to a 16-beat time cycle, which we call as Teen Tal. And here is the Lehra. So as you see, this melodic phrase keeps repeating itself. Na din din 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 na. Hitta hitta daga daga tun tak to. Hitta hitta daga daga tun tak to. Daga 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 tun tak daga daga tun tak daga tun tak kita di 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 1 2 3 4 5 6 धा गति न कदगति के धा. So, as you have noticed, we start the bowl on the first beat of the time cycle, which is also called the sum. And as the composition finishes, it again lands on the sum or the first beat of the time cycle. So here I present to you the same tukda that I recited just now. So, well, that was a little rhythmic fragment that I just now presented to you. Similarly, there are several technical aspects of Kathak, like the tatkar, which is the footwork, the permutation combination that the dancer performs using the various parts of the feet, may it be the heel, the entire foot, the toes, so on and so forth. And each of these have specific syllables, rhythmic syllables, and we call them bowls. And we also have tihais. Tihais are nothing but rhythmic sections which repeat itself 3 times and it arrives on the first beat of the time cycle. Tukdas, we have already spoken, small rhythmic sections. Parans, which are the bowls of the pakhavaj. Pakhavaj this is another rhythmic instrument that Kathak dancers use as part of the music. Then perimelus, which are the bowls of the gungru, the bells that the dancers wear on their feet, of the gungru, tabla, and the pakhavaj coming together, and also sounds of the nature. So we have several of these, and especially in Natya Institute, my Didi has structured the pedagogy in such a way that we learn them as one set of tukdas or as families of tukdas. The syllables that sound the same are all put together so that the student feels it's easy to learn and then builds on top of it. These compositions are performed in the Nritta section. Nritta means the pure dance aspect. In the Nritta section, in a repertoire, and in the Nritta section, we have various presentations like the Thaat, which means a stance, Amad, which means an entry in Persian, Rangmanch Pranam. And then we have the Tukda, Toda, Paran. And we also have a beautiful aspect in Kathak, which is the Jugalbandi or a healthy competition between performers or between the dancer and the musicians. So there's always a give and take on stage between the musicians as well as the dancers. And this Jugalbandi happens when the different permutation combinations of the footwork are performed by the dancer, and similarly it is recreated on the tabla or the sitar by the musicians. Then in the repertoire of Kathak, we have bhajan, ghazal, thumri, and we end with the tarana. Tarana is a composition where rhythmic syllables are set to a melody. Apart from these, we also have some unique compositions like the Prabandh, Chaturang. Chaturang basically is a composition where 4 aspects of music come together. Sargam, which is the swaras, Bol, we have just now spoken what Bol is, a Tarana, and Sahitya or a lyric. So one line of lyric accompanied by these 3 sections put together makes a Chaturang. So this way we have a very wide and varied repertoire in Kathak. With this, I think the given time is coming to a close. I would like to open this session to questions from all of you, and we can get the discussion going.
Kirtiji, I have a request to make of you as the director of this cultural center.
Yes, Dr. Dasji.
Kathak is one of my favorite dance forms. It is so lyrical, and we have got wonderful exponents here watching you, and one of them is Claudia Lanos. She is a folk dancer actually. She dances on Kalbelia of Rajasthan. But
Oh,
yeah,
lovely.
yeah, and she is also a practitioner of Kathak, I'm told. And we have Ernesto de la Teja. He is a Bharatanatyam exponent, an ICCR scholar
Oh,
who was in
lovely.
India for
Lovely to meet you all here.
yes. These are all ICCR scholars. Of course, Claudia spent some time in India, not as ICCR scholar, but Ernesto de la Teja was there in Kalamandalam. Am I right, Ernesto? Your mic is off.
Kalakshetra, madam. Kalakshetra
Kalakshetram. I
Foundation.
get very confused with Kalamandalam and Kalakshetram. Okay,
They are
correct.
brothers.
You're ignorant director. Okay, okay. So I have a request to make of you, Kirtiji. Could I see one small performance from you? You have enough time. Don't bother. Uh,
Sure.
Masters don't need time. They take the class till the bell rings and the bell has not yet rung.
Sure, sure,
So I
sure,
was
Dr.
teacher, so I
Dasji.
know how it is that I don't leave my class till the bell rings.
Oh,
So
sure, sure.
तो अगर
Definitely.
आप कुछ एक टुकड़ा दिखा देते हैं हमको, it would be a
Will-
wonderful, and then we can take the questions from the audience. And I'm sure even Ernesto Claudia, where is Carlos? He is a Kathak dancer.
Oh, how lovely.
He is on Facebook. Yeah, he's our student from GTICC, and now he's on to his own, and he's teaching the students in Mexico.
He had to work. He was really willing to be here, but he had to work
I think
today.
so.
But
No, he's on Facebook. He's on Facebook.
yeah, he's on
So
Facebook.
he'll be on Facebook. I'm sure Ernesto and Claudia will have some questions for you. But before, it is a personal request from me. Could I watch a performance from you? A chota sa टुकड़ा
Absolutely.
दिखा दीजिए.
Absolutely, Dr. Dasji. No, it's always a pleasure to be performing and talking about dance amongst artists. It's lovely to have you all, being present in this session. Dr. Dasji, like you've asked me, I would love to present a couple of, Tukdas parents. Um, this is a beautiful composition. This is in Tal Dhamar. Dhamar is a 14 beat time cycle.
Exactly.
So just now I mentioned about Teen Tal, right? The one little tukra that I presented was in Teen Tal. It was a 16 beat time cycle, whereas Dhamar is a 14 beat time cycle. And the beauty of this particular composition is it is set. Yati is basically when rhythmic syllables are arranged in a certain order. So this goes this way. G धी ट धी ट धा ग धी न ता ग धी ट धा ग धी न ता Trang tắc 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 tu tắc tik 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 te tik tik na tik tik te tik tik to tik tik te tik tik te tram per tik te kir tik te kir tik te kir tik te tram per tik te kir tik te kir tik te kir tik te tram per tik te kir tik te kir tik te kir tik te trang tak 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 tu tak tik 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 te tik tik na tik tik te tik tik to tik tik te tik tik te tik tik tram per tik te kir tik te kir tik te kir tik te tram per tik te kir tik te kir tik te kir tik te tram per tik te kir tik te kir tik te kir tik te trang tak 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 tu tak tik 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 te tik tik na tik tik te tik tik to tik tik te tik te tram per tik te kir tik te kir tik te kir tik te tram per tik te kir tik te kir tik te kir tik te tram per tik te kir tik dha ka dik dha. This is in the Samayati, where the syllables are arranged in equal numbers and in equal proportions. Here I am presenting to you this rhythmic composition in Tal Dhamar. Di da di da ga ti na ta So that was a composition in the Samayati. We will now watch and listen to a composition in the Gopuchayati. Here, the syllables are arranged in the descending order. So here it goes. Ga, dhi, da, da. Ga, di, na, ta. Narthit, gedardantha, gegedin, gentadan, thakat, gedardantha, 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 gedardanta, didda. So here if you see, after the first section, the Purva Bhaga, which is Nagadit, Gendradantanda, Gikidit Gegedin, Gintaran Dhakat. This is the Purva Bhaga. The second section or the last section, Gendradantandha, Gendradantandha, Gendradantandha. That becomes the first line. The second section becomes Gendradakta, Gendradakta, Gendradakta. Then the last part becomes Dittidha, Dittidha, Dittikat. So this is the beauty of this composition. You see that this particular formation visually that presents itself in the rhythmic composition. Ga, di, ga, di, ga, ma. Ga, di, na, ta. So, with these two compositions, I now conclude my session. Dr. Das ji, I hope you are happy with these two presentations.
You were awesome. You are a visual delight.
Thank you.
Some
Thank you so
questions
much.
for you. From Carlos. Okay. He is the teacher I was telling you about, a student from GTICC,
Yes.
an accomplished student. I'm sure he is equally accomplished teacher now. And here is a question from him.
Okay. Is there any specific order in which Nritta compositions are presented? Generally, again, this is a general statement. When it comes to the Nritta section, it starts off in the Vilambit line. We present portions like the Thaat, Amad in the Vilambit line, and also a few Tihais and Uthans that are presented in the Vilambit line. And then we move to the Madhya line, where Tukdas, Todas, and some more Tihais could be presented, where the tempo is slightly more higher. And the Nritta section concludes with the Dhrit line, which is the fastest tempo. Here, various short Tihais, Tukdas, Chakardhar, Paran, and it can also sometimes end with the Jugalbandi. So this is a general progression, but there are no hard and fast rules that this has to be followed. This is what has been traditionally been done in performances by great masters.
Next question. Yes, Claudia, any questions from your side?
Yes, thank you. First of all, Thank you once again, because it's amazing to be able to watch this beautiful art form. Personally, I am fully in love with this art form. Of course, I respect and admire all of them also, but Kathak is just amazing. So thank you so much. It's amazing to have you here today. So I would like to ask about, I don't know how to say this. I am a Kalbelia and Rajasthani folk artist. That is my main focus. But I have studied also Kathak, and I could see when I was there in Rajasthan how they have these points where they meet these both the folk and the classic. And I have seen also some Kathak classical forms, which to me looks a little bit with folk inside it. So I don't know if you could speak a little bit about this. I have heard also there are small towns where Kathak it's also something that everybody in the town learns, and they live it as a also not only as a classical training, but a daily life thing, a way to express themselves. So if you could share with us this anything
Sure.
about this.
Thank you, Claudia, for bringing up this topic. Again, I'll go back to my training. In Natya Institute, we all believe, and this has been instilled by our guru, Dr. Maya Rao and Madhu Didi, that we all are exposed and we learn several folk forms. We don't just stick to classical forms. We very strongly believe that we need to be exposed and we need to learn different forms of dance, not just classical folk, but also martial, contemporary. Keep our eyes, open, keep our minds open to all these influences. And coming back to the question, the specific question, which is, do you see folk influences in Kathak or Kathak influences in folk? In fact, there are several compositions like Holi, Kajri, that are performed by Kathak artists that are part of the Kathak repertoire, which have the folk influence. For example, Holi that we all have learned and we have enjoyed always performing, Yashoda Ke Lal, it has the rhythm section going dhage na tinaka din dhage na tinaka din. This is a very folksy rhythm that accompanies the entire duration of the song, and Holi has those folksy elements in it. And even in Kalbelia, I'm sure there are so many chakkars, spins, and there is always this cross influence between different forms of dances, and that is the beauty of Indian dance culture.
Ernesto, any questions from you?
Yes, madam. First, Kumarji, thank you very much for sharing with us this amazing time. We enjoyed a lot. I think the Mexicans, we have, of course, Bharatanatyam is famous. Of course, Mohiniyattam, Odissi in Mexico, they are very famous styles. But I feel Mexicans have a connection with Kathak for some reason. I don't know. I don't know. I feel like that. Maybe I'm wrong, but and thank you, Dr. Das, for this amazing program. We start with Bharatanatyam last week, with the south of India, and we end with Kathak in the north of India. So it was an amazing trip in these beautiful styles. But my question is, I'm so interested about the relation between these two compositions, Tilana in Bharatanatyam and Tarana in Kathak. Can you share with us something about this relation?
Sure, Ernesto. Thank you again for asking this question. First of all, if you go to the basic definition and the presentation of these two Nritya Bandhas, Tilana in Bharatanatyam and Tarana in Kathak, these are, first of all, rhythmic syllables set in a melody. That's really the basic definition for both, right? If it's Tilana, we say something like for example. Again, here it's a rhythmic syllable set to a rag and in a time cycle. Here in the Hindustani classical tradition, we have a tarana. So something like Nadir Tum Tananadirana Tadialadim Tadaretani. So the that becomes a basic definition. But I see one difference between a Tilana and a Tarana, which is in a Tilana, there is always these two lines of lyrics that are set within the Tilana. We generally don't see that in a Tarana. In a tarana, it is we have uh, the opening section, then we have the second part, the mukda antra. That's how it continues, and we have certain special syllables like yalali yalali. Although they are not really rhythmic syllables, but they're infused into the tarana. And it is said in this in this context, I'd like to bring this point that taranas are attributed to Amir Khusru. It is said that he was the first person who actually created a composition called a tarana. So I think I've answered your question, Ernesto.
Yes, yes,
Yes.
definitely. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, Kirti Kumar, I hate to watch to leave you go, but I have to. So we had these four master classes. As Ernesto said, we started from south and we end up in north. But the beauty of India is, Ernesto and Claudia, the beauty is that South Indians perform North Indian dances and India is one country. Okay,
Absolutely.
Kirti Kumar is from Bangalore, but he's practicing the North Indian dance form. And you're from Mexico. Claudia is from Mexico. You are performing Indian folk and Indian Bharatanatyam. What can be a better world confluence than this kind of yes? So we started these four master classes with an intention. Nothing is done without a purpose, right? And the purpose was to bring the best of art forms before the Mexican exponents of Indian classical dance, because Gurudev Tagore Indian Cultural Center, one of the aspects of this cultural center is to propagate the culture of India in Mexico. And these master classes by these master exponents, which are very difficult to catch them, and I'm so lucky to get all the four of them. Each was a gem in itself. And yeah, I always say nothing but the best for Mexico, and Mexico got the best today. I'm very happy. And if masters like Kirti Kumar can agree to come once again on to the show, I know you guys are very busy, and particularly Kathak dancers are very busy in India because of the Bollywood influence. Uh, कीर्ति जी एक सवाल पूछनी थी आपसे. I wanted to ask you a question.
Yes.
Do you have any presentations of Bollywood in Kathak style?
Dr. Dasji, I don't perform, Bollywood pieces. I stick to traditional
The class.
Kathak. Apart from that, as you already mentioned during my introduction, I'm also trained in Indian contemporary dance, and
Yes.
we are exposed to martial arts and folk forms. So
Wow.
this is what I stick to, and I don't venture into Bollywood. There are fantastic performers who present Bollywood numbers, and I wouldn't do justice going anywhere near there. So I stick to my forms that I'm comfortable with.
Yes. So you are a very pure classical performer, but
Classical,
you
contemporary, folk, martial. Yes.
contemporary. Okay, okay. Thank you so much. So, on behalf of the Embassy of India, Gurudev Tagore Indian Cultural Center, Mexico, may I wish you that you regale our audience more and more with your expertise in your craft. And we always wish you the best of it. And you have brought a culmination to our master classes with a flourish. And it has been a wonderful first to have you here. And thank you, the participants, Claudia, Ernesto, for the wonderful, very sensible questions asked for the maestro. And thank you so much, Kirtiji, once
Thank
again,
you.
on
Thank you so
behalf
much.
of the Charge DFS, Juhi Rai, and the director of the Cultural Center. Once again, muchas gracias. That is, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Viva India.
Thank you for having me on board for this program. And thanks to GTIC and Dr. Dasji here. Thank you so much. Namaskar.
Namaskar, sir. Namaskar.